Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. It's been a minute, I know, but we're back with some Regulation H content. If you guys didn't know, Regulation H is the format we're coming back into for the 2026 season. We haven't had this format since last year, so I thought it would be a good video to kind of have like the top 10 teams going back into this Regulation H because we had this one before. So I got some teams here. I made this as kind of a reference from Tech Explorer. Every previous regional and event, I kind of looked back at, and I figured that these 10 teams I have here stood out to me as some of the best teams in the current format. So here is my top 10 teams for Regional H. And we're going to start off with no other than Wolfe himself, his Toronto winning team. He posted EVs after the video that he made when he won Toronto, of course. So it's not your standard rain team. This is a Wolf special. It's rain will perish. Like we've seen Instant Among Us Arch before. You're probably gonna see these guys a lot during the video because these are some of the strongest Pokemon in the game, right? But what is so innovative about this team is the Power Herb Arch is one thing as well. Terra Electric Power Herb Arch is very, very strong. And it can KO everything with basic Electric Shot. Kingdra, a Pokemon we've never really seen before. It's really nice with the Politoed Drizzle. And Stellar Water Ball is very, very strong. Stellar Draco, and it has some kind of cool pieces with like Gothitelle. So like one thing you can do is like lead Kingdra Goth. You kind of trap them on like Pokemon on the field, and if you swap out Goth, it basically guarantees you to always get the water up and not have to play that water war. Like we saw him use that to really great ability in his like top 4 set versus Jump Across. Of course, I think I probably should start this one. The most interesting part of this team, of course, is the Gothitelle and Politoed combo. Gothitelle, another Pokemon we don't see much in this format, same as Politoed, but because this is Wolf Click and this is Perish, you Perish Trap. So Shadow Tag plus Perish Song. If you play it well, you knock out everything on the field, and that's what he did win Toronto. I was also one of the victims. So this team traumatizes me a lot, and the fact that me recovering this is like, says a lot for me that how good this team was. And I think the team is really strong in the right hands. I'm not so sure if many people can replicate the success of Wolf going back to Version H, but I wouldn't be surprised if this team has some other good results in the future. Next, Standard Arch Rain. This is my recreation of Francesco's Stargate Finalist team. This is basically just the Standard Rain team since day 1 of the format. Instant, Among Us, Arch, Pelipper, Basket Legion has been kind of a staple in this format. The Goldango is kind of like whatever. Sometimes you see like Mousehold. That's what Nicholas Morales used to in Baltimore. But nowadays, Goldango is a much more common partner. Goldango just synergizes really well with the rain mode, right? Weakening fire types. Instant, Among Us supports Goldango very well as well. Arch, Pele, Bass. It's just the standard rain core. You can't go wrong with having all these Pokemon. Pelipper, Arch, and Basket Legion does force a lot of coin flips. Sometimes you can like lead Pele, Bask, like flip turn out to Arch and get that stamina proc. Sometimes maybe try to scale shot you, and it's just really annoying trying to cover all their pieces, so covering rain and also covering the standard fake out Goldango game plans. My EVs are pretty straightforward. Max speed, Goldango is kind of a staple in this format. Here, I just hit the life optimization. And I hit the this max speed, like I said, for Goldango Mirrors, 149. It's a pretty good speed stat. Instant here. Adamant, I know it's kind of funny looking. I don't have Blitz. I don't think it has to be Adamant, but one thing I like about the speed tier is you outspeed Modest Blood Moon. So Incineroar hits 106, which is faster than the Modest Blood Moons in the format I go max speed. This is really important because that's like a pretty common team in the current format. So being able to like parting shot or knock off the life orb first, it's kind of nice because you look at a team like this, there's no switch in the combination of ground and normal. So having that fast instance is quite good. Also fast fake out. Can't go wrong with that. Among Us, there's anything they're doing in particular. I like Calm. The format, there's a lot of special attacks you can hit. I don't think it has to be Calm, but this kind of is like a whatever spread. Archuludon just hits a bump with Modest, a little bit of speed creep, and just max HP and some optimization stuff for the AV stuff. And yeah, just your standard Arch set. You could go faster. I know some AV Arches go like Bold, Calm, or even Timid sometimes. So Arch is kind of preference. It kind of depends on how fast or how bulky you want to be with this guy. Pelipper, max speed, max special attack, your focus sash. The unique thing about this, it's Terra Ground. I believe Francesco was Terra Ground because of Electabuzz. You kind of just wall Electabuzz completely, so Terra Ground's kind of a cute little tech for that. And basically, listen, standard choice Ben set, max attack, max speed for mirrors, and yeah, hit as hard as possible. Very strong team. It's the standard rain team. Anyone can play this, and I think it's a really good starting team. Even go back into Revolution Age. Third on my list, MDB. Michael Kelsch had several top cuts with this Sneasler Gambit team that you guys have probably seen since basically day one of the format, right? Kelsch and a few other people have been kind of running this King Gambit core with the Primarina, the Rillaboom, Magmar, Dragon Ball Sneasler. Sometimes you see Electabuzz over Magmar. I personally actually use Electabuzz myself for the very first regional. It's the same 6 basically, but Salamence over Pult. But the general idea is fake out King Gambit with Primarina support is very strong. Primarina, a Pokemon we don't really see much nowadays, but I think it's still pretty good. Just because like Haze is very valuable. It's kind of like your anti-BS Mon in a way. Haze shuts down a lot of different things, like mostly Dondozo. Dondozo kind of is completely shut down by Primarina, and I know that's why he was also Terra Water, not just for the Hyper Voice boost, but Dondozo's, I believe it was like during an LAIC metagame, they're going Terra Steel Heavy Slam, and this would kill Primarina. So if you go Terra Water, you would live it, which is quite nice. Sneasler, it's just very strong. Like again, like you have to fake out switch and stuff, but what Sneasler's really good at is just pressuring Pokemon. Especially with Dragon Ball. The combination of Sneasler plus Dragon Ball has like basically no switch-ins, and you just pick up a lot of KOs. Direct Claw, the funny move of the format, of course, and close combat to hit Arch, King Gambit, and Incineroar is very valuable. Dragon Pult, max speed. This is pretty good for mirrors. I think you can also go Adamant, but Adamant's a little bit greedy, so Jolly's kind of nice in Pult mirrors. Dragon Darts, Phantom Force, U-Turn, and Terra Blast. I believe when he first had this pace, he had Outrage, but Terra Blast Ghost is really valuable to hit stuff like Goldango, and just Ghost Stab in general is like really hard to swap into. That's why Goldango itself is so good, just because there's limited Ghost switch-ins, right? Rillaboom, high horsepower. I'm a big fan of high horsepower, big fan of high horsepower in this format, just because there's a lot of things that U-Turn just doesn't really hit. Like pivoting is nice and all, but you already have a pivot piece with U-Turn here, and you can also hard swap. I don't think that's like really a big deal. High horsepower hits stuff like Incineroar. It hits like stuff like King Gambit, Goldango. Those are the big ones. Steel types in general is really nice to hit on a team like this. Magmar, this is a Kelch special. I know not many people really use Magmar before him, and Magmar is really nice because of Vital Spirit, same as Electabuzz. So you are immune to Spore. You can follow me away Spore, Sleep Powder. But I think the really nice part of Magmar instead of Electabuzz is having the Fire type. I guess one gives you Fire, Water, Grass Core. That's one thing, of course. But the main thing with Overheat, pressuring Amoonguss, Goldango, and King Gambit is very, very valuable. Will-O-Wisp is also just a broken move. There's a lot of physical attackers in this format that don't appreciate Will-O-Wisp, such as like opposing King Gambit, Sneasler, Dragonite's also another big one, etc. King Gambit, Swords Dance, Terror Dark, very powerful. Sometimes they run safety goggles, but Black Glasses just allows you to have that really big damage boost, especially because you're not Terror Dark anymore. I know that he was Terra Dark before, but swapped to Terra Ghost because Terra Ghost was a bit more consistent into Porygon, Terra Fighting, Sneasler, etc. With the special defense, you can kind of lead this into Porygon 2 more often with Sneasler, and you give the download boost as attack instead of special attack, so that's pretty valuable. Fourth on the list, this is the Perf Regional winning team by Mario. And yeah, it's kind of similar to like the Arch Rain team with that Goldango, Instant, Amoonguss core. Very popular, of course. How you round it out instead of Rain. Basically throwing just some of the strongest Pokemon in the format. Dragonite, Blood Moon, and Goldango, they call it the Dug core. And it's just some of the highest BST Pokemon in the format and all the brokens, right? Goldango, good as gold, very busted, nasty plot, make it rain, of course. Ursaluna, this guy is like impossible to kill. AV may look like a funny item. I know I talked a lot about Life Orb earlier, but AV makes this guy basically just unkillable. You're kind of damage trading well with most of the format, and with that Terra Water, you're resisting opposing Goldango, and just make it rain. You're resisting Basque Legion hits. You're resisting basically everything. You're only really weak to like grass types, which is why you have Goldango, Instant, Sneasler, Dragon. Actually, the rest of the team is really good versus grass types, so it doesn't really matter, right? Vacuum Wave is kind of a cool tech because, I mean, you're running your stat moves. Vacuum Wave is good coverage and priority. It's very nice to kind of pick it up like low HP Pokemon. You can also Vacuum Wave before Kingambit Sucker Punch. That's also a new kind of cool tech. Incineroar, yeah, this is all reliable. And as you can see, the speed stat is similar to like the one I had before. Being outspeed opposing models like for Blood Moon is very valuable. Dragonite, it's like the GOAT of this format as well. Scale Shot is like the set of choice right now, just because although it can miss, loaded dice Scale Shot is so strong. Also, breaking opposing Sneasler Focus Sash is very good in this format. Haze, kind of mentioned the Primarita, it's like anti-BS. You can haze a lot of stat drops in this format. Your own stat drops, which is cool. You can also haze away any boosts. Then those is the big one. Volcarona, Kingambit, etc. Especially with Terra Fairy. Terra Fairy and haze, you kind of just like shut down Kingambit, which is kind of cool. Sneasler, it's kind of funny this one has it does not have Fake Out, but you're not really clicking Fake Out with Sneasler a lot of times with a team like this. It's a little bit easier with Kingambit. But I think Incin Among Us is all you need to really set up this Goldango. Double Fake Out is not really necessarily required because Protect is really valuable, and I like the idea of Throat Chop on here, so you can also pressure Pokemon you can't normally hit with Sneasler. Like Sneasler gets wadded by opposing Goldango, for example. So with Throat Chop, you can actually hit Goldango with this Sneasler. Terra Psychic Among Us, not the most common Terra, but I get why it's here. Terra Psychic is really viable versus side spam teams, so Indeedee Mail is pretty good versus that. It's also really good versus like Gallade, Hatterene, etc. So pretty good typing for the Psychic spam. Fifth on the list, I have the classic Gambit Volcarona stuff. This was pretty dominant early on in the format. I believe the highest placement of the team was also top 8 at LAIC. One of the more common balance teams in the current format, similar to the AV Bloodman stuff, like very cookie cutter balance stuff, except instead of Among Us, you have Electabuzz. I think if you're running Redirection in this format, it's very limited, right? It's like you run the Follow Me babies, your Magmar Electabuzz, or you run Among Us, right? Electabuzz is really nice on a team like this because this team kind of disrespects Spore. If you're not running Goldango, you need another Spore immunity, and Electabuzz does that best, right? So Follow Me plus Setup is really good, like Follow Me Kingambit, Follow Me Volcarona, Taunt to shut down opposing setup. You can shut down Among Us, you can shut down Trick Room. Electabuzz is just very valuable. One thing I like about Electabuzz better than Magmar is that you don't die to Wave Crash immediately, so it's a little bit better versus Rain. So like Buzz is good in that regard. Kingambit, this is a Terra Dark set. I do think you can also go Terra Ghost, but Terra Dark, the Terra Dark calcs are very noticeable. That's the main difference. Terra Dark +2 Kowtow or +2 Sucker is getting a lot of KO. So if you're okay with being a little bit weak to Sneasler or Porygon 2 Terra Fighting, you can just play around it better and just kill everything else with the Terra Dark. Volcarona. Volcarona Terra Fairy Blast has kind of been rising a little bit more usage towards the end of the format. This is because like the combination of fire and fairy is actually very strong. And with Terra Fairy, you all Scale Shot Dragonite, which is really cool. With Terra Fairy, you're also really good versus opposing Kingambit. And Volcarona is also one of the best ones versus Goldango. Obviously, if you Terra Fairy, that's not good, but you don't need a Terra in front of Goldango anyway. So if you play this Volcarona very well, you can actually beat up a lot of opposing setup teams. It's very kind of underrated, in my opinion. Dragonite, it's kind of the same set as other teams, except instead of Tailwind, they have E-Speed. I think it can be a mix of both. I think the idea behind like no Tailwind on a team like this is you already have the Quiver Dance here. You have a lot of priority spam, so maybe that's why it's not Tailwind. But I think that E-Speed can also be Tailwind here. E-Speed just like another good option to hit stuff that you can't with Scale Shot, like the Fairy Bulk here, right? At least you can hit with E-Speed. Sneasler, standard focus set, except instead of Protect, they have Coaching. And I think Coaching is really valuable here because Coaching gives you another mode to play this team. So obviously you have Fake Up plus Setup, but another mode you can do is also Coaching your Dragonite. You can also Coaching Kingambit, of course, but Coaching Dragonite is really nice to kind of snowball teams because a combination of Coaching plus Scale Shot can just run through like Sash Pelipper, for example. Scale Shot naturally doesn't kill Pelipper, but with that Coaching boost, you just kill for the focus session immediately. You kind of run over Rain teams a lot with this because I think Rain can be difficult otherwise, so you're kind of using Sneasler plus Dragonite to your best ability to win. Rillaboom, Double Fake Out's really good to set up stuff, and it gives you answers to like opposing second terrain teams. Very valuable. All right, next on the list is Victor Medina's LAIC Finalist team. This was one of the strongest teams to come out after Brazil. This team was created by Elizabeth, a Japanese player, and it was an excellent call for LAIC because not many people were prepared for it because I believe the team was kind of released like the week before because Elizabeth did really well in the in-game ladder with this. And Victor here made some changes to apply to BO3. I believe Elizabeth actually had Encore on D-Knight over one of these moves, and it was actually Terra Ghost. Terra Fair is a bit more consistent for the Dragon Knight mirror. This is the standard Dragon Knight set I mentioned earlier. Haze and Tailwind. Tailwind's good for good speed control. Haze for getting rid of any setup like Dondozo, etc. Arch, probably like the most unique thing of this team, the Terra Fighting Arch and the Bold. With Bold and Terra Fighting and Body Press, the thing's like almost unstoppable to KO. You're faster with Dragon Knight here, so you can self-proc your Arch, and the Body Press do so much damage. And any damage you take on the Arch, also the other new part we talked about, is the Sinister. You can recover everything back up. Hospitality is really nice on a team like this because multi-scale can be procced up again. The Arch, after it gets damaged, can be procced up again, get all healed up. And even the Ursa Luna, you can also self-Earthquake next to Sinister, can resist that. Earthquake also next to Pelipper or Dragon Knights is also really good. Very fast bear. I think fast Ursa is very good when you have Tailwind, but it also works in Trick Room because it's still like slower than a lot of Pokemon, and that Tail Room element makes it really hard to cover both the Tailwind option and the Trick Room option of this team. Scarf Goldango is also another unique piece on this team. Not very common, but it's just really fast. Being able to like pressure things that you normally underspeed is really good, like Sneasler. You're always outspeeding the Goldango Mirror. It's a really good revenge killer in general. So really underrated pick here. Next on the list, this is a bit of a newer team. Toronto, jump across, made top 4 with this, same as Marcus D on top 8. And they use this with a Indd Sneasler team with Life Orb Blood Moon. Marcus Dion, one of the biggest Blood Moon Indd Sneasler fans out there, he uses to also do well at Sacramento. But that team had some glaring weaknesses, which they decided to fix with the Volcarona, Tyranitar, and Annihilate here. First of all, Indd Male, usually it is Focus Sash, but if you're running Tyranitar here, it really makes no sense to pick your own Focus Sash. So I like the idea of the Choice Scarf. It also just makes it like a really like reliable revenge killer. Sneasler here, this is your standard Sneasler set if you're running Psychic Seed. This max attack, max speed, hit as hard as a possible, no need for the bulk. And yeah, you get +2 speed, and you KO everything you move first. If you're always moving first, clicking Dire Call too, this team has a lot of chances to kind of like RNG you in a way. It is very scary going against a Sneasler and Indd combo. Volcarona, another kind of underrated pick on a team like this. I showed some Quiver Dance Volcaronas earlier, but Citrus Support is a set that we don't see often. Volcarona has a really good speed tier, actually. You're outspeeding opposing Annihilapes and Goldangos, so you can Tailwind or Overheat first, which is really nice. Rage Powder is really good support. On these Indd teams before, they had Electabuzz for redirection, but Volcarona Rage Powder is still very nice. It has a really good natural typing, so you can Rage Powder away, like say, like close combat for either Ursaluna or Tyranitar. It gives you a chance to correct Flame Body. So this is really nice. Struggle Bug is also a really good tech because you can shut down a lot of special attackers, such as Porygon 2, Goldango, Outer Volcarona, any special attackers. It's just a really good support Pokemon on this team, which is really nice because on a team like this, you have so much offense, you really have no natural bulk, which Volcarona kind of makes up for, right? Next, Ursaluna Blood Moon. This max attack, max speed. This is what it does best. There's no trick on the team, so you just want to hit first and hit as hard as fast as possible. Terra Normal Blood Moon can KO most into the format, and it's just supported really well to Volcarona. Commonly, this teams like Volcarona, Ursaluna, clean up with Sneasler needing it back, call it a day, right? Annihilate, kind of a weird pick on a team like this, but it actually makes a lot of sense because this team is so fast, you've literally just shut down Trick Room. Annihilate has the unique typing and unique moveset to completely shut down Incin Porygon 2 lead. You also shut down Among Us Porygon 2 because you can taunt around Rage Powder. So you can basically deny those Porygon 2 teams completely with that taunt, right? Defiant Close Combat can also remove Incineroar. Rage Fish just for stab and to hit like Ghost types we can't hit with Close Combat and Final Gambit. And again, I haven't talked about Final Gambit yet, but Final Gambit is a really good way of getting rid of a threat that you can't remove otherwise. Tyranitar, also not a Pokemon we see often on these Indd Sneasler teams, but it makes a lot of sense here. Tyranitar is really good in Indd Sneasler Mirror, just because you're immune to Indd, and with Terra Fly and Terra Blast, you can remove the Sneasler, which is really good. The Sandstream is also really nice because weather can be really annoying. I think rain and sun can be a hard matchup otherwise, and I think that in a format like Rex and H, having your own weather setter is actually pretty underrated because it gives you a chance to beat the Water War oftentimes. So I'm a really fan of T-Tarp or any water Pokemon in the format, to be honest. Next on the list is the LAIC champion, Marco Fierro. These are his spreads he posted before Toronto. I believe he made some slight changes to it, but this was the pace he had at the time. Very strong team all around. Charizard Torkoal is a very strong combo. Solar Power gets the boost in the sun, so you take a little bit of Life Orb recall basically, but it makes Charizard hit extra hard. Pair the Choice Specs and the Sun Boost, this guy can get every KO. If you guys watch LAIC Finals, this Charizard was a madman. It KO'd, like, I believe, an Arch with Fighter Ball in Sun. It also killed an Ursaluna. Like, it was KOing everything. Very strong Pokemon. And Charizard's really only seen on these on a team like this, but Marco made it look really good. Torkoal, again, we need it for the Charizard here. Also supports the jump bluff, so you have the Sun mode, the Chlorophyll. Torkoal just hits as hard as possible with that Overheat Eruption, but it also has Helping Hand. So Helping Hand when you maybe are lower after Overheat's really nice. You also have Overheat Eject Pack. So this is really nice for repositioning. So sometimes you can Overheat, swap in, get Ursaluna for free, or get an Incineroar for free. It's really nice for pivoting here. Porygon 2, very strong Porygon 2, which makes a lot of sense. If this guy ever gets a download boost, at +1, Porygon can actually get a lot of 2-hit KOs with Terra Blast. It's very strong. Terrifying Terra Blast is really nice to hit Incineroar and King Gambit, also Archaludon. The Trick Room mode is very valuable with Incineroar and Ursaluna here. And similar to like the Victor Medina team, you have a Tail Room aspect. The combination of Tail and Trick Room is very impressive. You can't cover for both. So the Ursaluna here you can either use in that Trick Room option or under Tailwind, like Tailwind plus Earthquake. Or you can have Jump Bluff and Tailwind with the Charizard, etc. Right? I know Marco sometimes likes to do a lead with like Charizard Porygon. You have to guess if the Torkoal comes in the Porygon slot or if the Ursaluna comes in the Charizard slot. You can't predict both, and it's very, very powerful. Incin, it's actually the same set I kind of showed earlier. The fast set, a lot of Incineroars nowadays will be EV to outspeed the Blood Moon, just because Blood Moon is such a powerful Pokemon. Jump Bluff here, it's like your standard set, Tailwind, Sleep Powder. But the interesting part, it has Rage Powder and Sunny Day, so there's no attacking move. Rage Powder is really nice to kind of guarantee Trick Room, kind of like a pseudo Among Us in a way, right? And Sunny Day is really nice to always win the Water War. So, like, if you can Sunny Day with Charizard on the field, you don't have to swap in Torkoal immediately and maybe call a swap or whatever, because Jump Bluff is really fast. So, if you swap out Jump Bluff first to Torkoal, and they swap out with another Pokemon getting Pelipper, you'll get the weather last. So with Sunny Day, it allows you to kind of win the weather war most times, right? Next on the list, we have Hard Trick Room. It can't be a Regostan Age video without Hard Trick Room. I think like this is like one of the archetypes that shines best in this format. Sometimes you see like Mousehold, I think, over to Lilligant, but this is like the classic team. I believe this is what Johnny Chow used to do really well to win also like one of his events. And yeah, it's like standard stuff. So Indeedee had a rain, right? Follow Me Trick Room, Follow Me Expanding Force, right? Very basic. Same with the Gallade, Follow Me Trick Room. Psychic Cut is also boosted by the terrain here. Ursaluna, I think Ursaluna and Torkoal are like kind of Hard Trick Room staples. They're some of the slowest Pokemon in the format and is apply the most damage. It's a really aggressive team. You have a lot of different like ways you can set up. You can also hard stop, sometimes set up Trick Room. And the scary part about Hard Trick Room is if they position both their attackers in the field. And I think facing a really good Hard Trick player is scary for that reason, because they're kind of unpredictable. It's either they can play really passive the first turn, or they can play really aggressive the turn one. If you don't call it, you kind of just lose off that. And it's sometimes hard to cover the Hard Trick mode completely because they also have Lilligant, which gives them the fast mode. So fast Sleep Powder and after your eruption, it's a very scary combo. It's the default Hard Trick Room team, probably going to be on your list of prep or even use if you enjoy playing Hard Trick Room. Last on my list, I have Fede Compo's GC winning team. I didn't have any really standard Tailwind teams on this list, so I figured this would be a good one to put. Although this was for BO1, similar people have used similar teams to do well on BO3. I believe actually someone took Fede's team with some changes to make top 16 at LIC. And you usually see this Wims Goldango core anyways, like Terra Steel specs make Rain is still very strong, right? This can be on most teams with maybe some other changes, but I just kind of have it here as your standard Tailwind team for now, right? Fake Tears plus Make It Rain, very strong. Also Fake Tears plus Archer Lowdown or Blood Moon, right? A lot of special attack and spam where Fake Tears are available in. Sometimes you see Protect on this, like I know Giovanni Costa for Toronto had Protecting his Focus Dash, but Corvo Cook here is really nice at denying Fake Out Game Flinched, right? Terror Poison, I'm guessing just for Sneasler, and Williams like Encore, Tail, and Moonblast are kind of like mandatory. Incineroar, almost a standard set, right? It has the standard 4 moves, but it's Mirror Herb. Mirror Herb's a funny tech that I know I think it was popularized by Eric Rios and Alex Gomez at LAIC. They top 8 with a Mirror Herb Incin. Mirror Herb Incin's really nice at shutting down King Gambit. Because one, you resist King Gambit, right? It's dual stab. And then you copy the Defiant, and you get that +2 with that Mirror Herb there, which is very cool. Arch, this is not your standard Arch set because you don't have Rain. If you're running Arch out of Rain, it's always a Sturdy Power Herb set. Or you can also run the Wolf one with the Sturdy as well, but you're usually AV, right? So you run Power Herb here without Rain always. Stellar is quite nice because Terra actually made more sense on Wolf's team because you can spam in the Rain more. But with Stellar, you only have one-time use because you have no Rain, and it allows you kind of have like a big nuke. So like after you get like Electric Shut Off, a +1 Stellar Draco can KO most instant format. It's very, very powerful. Dragonite, it's your standard Scale Shot set, and Terra Fairy for other Scale Shot, but your Ice Spinner. I think Ice Spinner is quite cool because you have no terrain control on a team like this. So you can Ice Spinner away second terrain, or like, it's mostly second terrain on a team like this, which is really good for your other attackers. AV Blood Moon, I think Blood Moon's nice on a team like this because it's kind of similar to other hyper offense teams where you have low defensive backbone, really just instant here. AV Blood Moon gives you that kind of that extra glue piece. It's very hard to kill, like I mentioned before, and it's only really weak to grass moves, and every other Pokemon on the team is good versus Rillaboom. So yeah. And that's it. That's going to be it for my top 10 teams going back to regular H. Let me all know what you guys think about my list and if there's anything you think I missed overall in here. Also, what are you guys' thoughts about regular H coming back? I personally am really excited. I had a lot of fun and success in regular H, so I'm excited to see if I can carry momentum on there. Regarding the future of this channel, I know I haven't posted in a while. I have been working on my Worlds video. It's going to be a bit of a longer video and probably more well edited, so not going to be your standard team report, but hopefully it'll come sometime in the coming month. Please be patient on that, and I'm excited to see how that comes out. Still writing that script. For other content, we'll definitely do more Reg H content coming up soon. There's going to be regionals, a recap, maybe teams for me to play, like maybe team reports for Reg H as well, and maybe some Reg J content. I haven't thought about that much because it's not official for our circuit. But I may maybe do a Regulation J video, maybe the best teams there as well. But yeah, thank you all for watching per usual, and I'll catch you sometime soon. Bye.